Welcome back to the Lunch Table Food for Thought. I'm Nico. Blitz. Subscribe, like, and do all of that shit because it's very important to us. My next guest, he puts in work, so maybe one day he'll go to church and finish the line.
Believe in something.
Believe in something, man. Yo, he goes by the name of Phillip Wolf. Phillip, what's poppin', man?
It's almost weird to hear it like talked out like that. Like,
really?
I almost couldn't figure out the next line there. No, what's good, man? I'm happy to be here.
Yo, low-key, I was like, is he offended that I didn't, remember the last part of the bar?
No, I'm more flattered that you remembered the first half of the bar. So, no, we're fine there.
That's funny, man. Yo, for the record, man, the way you came at me just, on Instagram and shit was, very polite. And, yo, that's the key. You just come at somebody hella polite. At least for me, it's all right, let me check this guy out. So then when I checked out your project, Undervalued Attention, I was like, yo, I could see the potential in all of it. You know what I mean? I think you had this hip hop sing song type rap, and you were fucking with the triplets, and then other songs you were more focused on singing. I was like, there's a whole bunch of sounds going into this one project, so I could see the potential in every single style that you're going through. So it was just tight to me. You guys need to check out that project.
No, I really appreciated the way you broke it down actually when we had that phone conversation because. I had all those feelings myself, and I felt like you put the verbiage behind it to help me understand exactly. I mean, that whole project was me coming into my own. It was me trying to figure out sounds. So there were a lot of different sounds on that project. Yeah. And I feel like it brought a lot more clarity on what kind of artist I want to be for sure.
Yeah.
So I was definitely an experimental project, but coming into my own as a melodic singing rapper type of guy.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely get into the project, man. So before we get into project, though, I want everybody to know you, man. Phillip Wolf, you're not from California. You're not even from where the fuck your house is right now. So where are you from, bro?
I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm a military kid, so I was born in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. We lived in Korea for a little bit, lived in the Philippines for a little bit, ended up in San Antonio. That's where my dad retired. So I was there for probably 22, 23 years.
So wait, what are you exactly?
I'm Filipino and German, I guess, technically, but we'll just call it white.
Okay.
Yeah.
But shit, you were born in Okinawa, you said?
Okinawa, Japan, because my dad was in the
military.
Air Force.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, people don't even realize Okinawa is its own separate shit from Japan. But because my girlfriend's Okinawan and Japanese, and people are like, isn't that the same shit? It's nah, it's two totally different spots. But so you were born there. Do you know how your dad met your mom then?
Military.
Just all through
classic
there?
Filipino American story, man. Yeah. So there was actually a base in the Philippines. I think it was called Kelly Air Force Base. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. It was wiped out by a volcano, but my mom was a bartender at the NCO club, and then my dad was an Air Force. You know what I mean? I think he was 23, 24. So, right around that age, you're in the military, hanging out at the NCO club.
You're kind of like, fuck, man, I don't know if this is going to be my last day, so fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. And my mom's all, hey, America, that sounds good.
No, that's tight.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
But they're still together to this day, man.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Especially in hip-hop, there's not a lot of people who, I think, have the father and mother figure at the same time.
Yeah.
But then again, I think even just going through a Filipino household, I think they're more prone to just they just kind of figure out how the fuck to make things work. You know what I mean? At least for my parents, though, they were almost gonna go through a divorce, and then they were asking me for advice. I'm well, fuck, I don't know. I'm fucking 21. I don't know what the fuck you guys want me to do, but they figured it out.
I think part of that is the strength of religion too. They're devoted Catholic people too. So it would take a lot for them to give up, just based on their religion. So I think that's where that comes into play too. Me not being very religious.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you're not that religious?
I wouldn't say so.
Huh.
I think being raised Catholic kind of
It kind of pushed you out, huh?
It's just it's a lot to handle, being Catholic. So I think that's where that lyric comes in too.
I find that a lot of people are a lot more spiritual nowadays as opposed to being religious. Yeah. Because I feel like when it comes, as far as I know, when it comes down to religion, people are more prone to separate themselves, like, oh, you're Buddhist. I mean, at least like the older thought, it's like, oh, you're Buddhist, so I don't fuck with you because I'm Catholic. And it's like, but essentially we all believe in like kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
We just all perceive things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So you consider yourself a little bit more like spiritual then in that sense, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost silly to put label on things. I mean, because you're always going to find things that you disagree with in certain like religions. So I mean, just to be spiritual and just know your relationship with God, I mean, I think is a lot more impactful on your life than like constantly following a script or a book, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. That's why my boy was even telling. My boy is an atheist, and he was telling me like, so you're telling me you listened to a book that was written in like ancient times, and I'm like, no, I don't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
However, you take those stories and you kind of just like, I guess you see the metaphor in it and see how it can benefit your life today. I think people don't really see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think you can't take all that literally.
Hell no.
No, for sure. But I mean, I just, personally, I mean, it's all love and respect to whatever people believe in. But for me, I just think that I don't need anything to define my relationship.
Damn. Okay.
So like I can
respect
just
that.
kind of find that within myself, that kind of peace.
Well, that's dope, man.
But, yeah.
So your dad being in the military, I'm surprised like you never got into the military, or did you?
It definitely crossed my mind 100,000 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a, I thought it was normal for the longest time. I think it wasn't until like high school when I started like really meeting other kids that weren't from military families that I was like, damn, like this lifestyle is like different,
Yeah.
But it feels safe, so it's
Really?
yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, growing up, I got a paper cut and I just went on base to the hospital real quick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just always have like resources on deck for your family when you're in the military. So it's easy to be like, yo, that's like a super safe path to take. Like, you're just gonna be taken care of when you're in the military. I mean, so.
Do you find yourself being a little bit more paranoid? Because with your dad being in the military, right? I can only imagine that his senses are kind of more, I guess, triggered when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
And like my dad, for example, right? He heard the front door open, and I remember this day, he fucking just hopped out of bed, pulled his Glock out, and I'm like, Dad, it's not that serious. He's like, no, you just got to make sure. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know.
No, man, yeah, that's funny that you say that. That definitely touches a nerve for sure. Yeah, I would say that it does make you paranoid. I would also think that's a generational thing too. I don't think that's just military.
But do you find yourself being like paranoid yourself?
Yeah, I think it carried down to like a smaller scale, I would say. I wouldn't say I'm as much.
Yeah.
But I would say a sense of that is definitely, like, I'm definitely a calculated person, and like I think of like all the small shit just in case.
Yeah,
so.
no. For sure. You got to make sure that
you saw that in my Instagram message, like the way it was formatted, like how perfect that was.
Yeah,
you kind of reflect that.
Everything so then do you maybe find yourself to be a little bit more like I don't think perfectionist is the right word.
No.
Like, I feel like you might be a little bit more particular when it comes to your daily moves.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah. So then, even growing up with like a military family, and it wasn't until like middle school, high school when you got introduced to like a new group of friends.
Yeah, I would say like a more consistent group, because I guess I was constantly moving around like when I was in elementary school. Middle and high school, we were like planted in San Antonio,
Yeah.
Which I just always thought, I have this one lyric in one of my songs where it's like, raised on rock by mom and pop, but school was in the hood. And like, that's very literal. Like, it's so weird because I felt like my family tried to maintain this like weird, like Brady Bunch household. But then I would go to middle school and high school and it was like in the hood. So
that's so
I got
weird.
Both aspects of life. So
that's hella weird.
Hella weird, yeah. I felt like I was two different people too.
That's kind of confusing growing up.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to, you're literally shifting between this illusion that your family's putting on. And then I can imagine if I mean, if social media existed back then, right? And like they put on that illusion that they're this Brady Bunch family, and then your homies go over to your crib and they're like, well, what the fuck? This isn't anything that I imagined.
Yeah.
That's that shit that you were probably like, that was probably going through your head during that time, huh?
I don't think they tried to make a certain perception. I think they more like didn't want to address any negativity. Like it was just sweep it under the rug. I don't think they necessarily like tried to come off as like this picture perfect family.
Yeah,
or anything like that. I think they just didn't want to address anything.
Yo, lightweight. I feel like that's a Filipino thing.
Yeah,
in a sense, because whenever some problems arise or like there's some sort of like embarrassment that might come to the family, like they're so quick to just like, yo, we don't want to share these problems with anybody.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, but other people can essentially give you a third perspective and tell you like, yo, this is actually what's wrong and this is how you could fix it. Yeah, but they don't want to do it.
They don't want a third perspective.
That's weird, dude. How come, like, why do you think, I guess, Filipinos are more like that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I'm figuring that out more and more as I get older, too. My last couple trips to the Philippines made it more clear that, like, I wasn't, like, insane. Like, it brought more clarity to my relationship with my mom because when you see, like, your mom's brothers and sisters, like your aunts and uncles, you know, acting the exact same way, you're like, oh, that's a Filipino thing. That's not just, like, what she does. You know what I mean?
In terms of, like, sweeping shit under the rug?
Yeah. I mean, you could see that reflection in, like, all of their families as well. You know, it's just, like, a unsaid rule.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know.
So then what was it like for you, like, just being in the Philippines for, how many times have you been there?
I've been a lot recently. I think as my mom gets older, she, like, wants to go more and more and, like, bring the kids.
Yeah.
So I've been, like, probably 3 or 4 times in the last, like, 7 or 8 years, I think.
Dude, you're fucking lucky.
Yeah. And before that, I had been quite a bit, but, like, nothing that I could remember. I was, like, pretty young. Like, those other times. But it's been crazy, you know.
Define crazy. What was going down within these past like 7 years, the 4 times you were there?
I just think it's like a typical like Americanized perception to where like you think you know what's going on, but then you go there and you see people that are like not in the position that you're in, literally living their life, and it's like it's different. It's a different feeling, you know? Like I don't know. I mean, watching your cousins and aunts and uncles sleep on the floor, and I mean, it's just like a normal thing, you know? Hand washing, just like normal day in the life of stuff. Using that tabo to flush the toilet.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro. Yeah. Like it's like all the little shit that we have over here, like fucking toilets or even just like beds.
Yeah, I mean, it just humbles you. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Even I mean, you could be humble here, but it humbles you even more when you go over there. Just.
I think you get a sense of like humbleness whenever you go and like witness situations in which they don't really have much yet. They seem a little bit more happier. Like, I always talk about how when I was back in the Philippines, right? And there was this one time my cousins wanted to play basketball. I'm like, all right, bet. I put on my socks, I put on my shoes, everything. And they just looked at me like, I was like, what? They're like, okay, let's play. I was like, okay. These motherfuckers are playing in, like, slippers. Yeah. They're playing in motherfucking barefoot. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are crazy.
Yeah,
they're fucking crazy, but they're way better than me. I was like, what the fuck? Hooping, dude. And I was like,
crossing
these guys, they find like they have no excuse. They're like, yo, let's just fucking play. And I'm like, oh, I've been bitching my whole life that I don't have the right shoes to play in.
Yeah, and another thing that was crazy too is like you just see a timeline of all your clothes on all your cousins. Too.
Yes, that too.
That tripped me out.
That shit is like, weird.
Damn,
bro.
That's my shirt from 6th grade on my little cousin over there.
Yeah,
like, and you just don't realize it. Honestly.
No, I think one of the neighbors like in my grandma's area, they had a shirt from like my middle school, and it was just the oddest thing because he was like this maybe 40-something-year-old man wearing this old ass. It said my high school and whatever. I'm like, that is just strange. But
I for sure have pictures of my old high school shirts on my uncle's for sure.
That's hella funny.
Now that you just bring that up. But another thing that put it in perspective too was I actually did some shows out there. I like literally sent mad emails out to all these bars and just took like the first couple bars. I would think it was like karaoke night in one bar and they featured me, and then there was like a drag show going on in another bar, and they like threw me on there too.
The fuck?
I just wanted to perform in the
Philippines.
Philippines.
How the fuck was the drag show? That must have been hella awkward for you, bro.
They picked on me all night. It was bad, and my little sister came out too, and my like I said, my parents are really Catholic, so she usually doesn't come out to these things, and she's like 14, and she got on stage and tried to sing a song, and these drag queens would not stop like messing with me during her set.
Oh my god!
Like she was just trying to sing some songs for the family and everything, and they were coming up and like scrunching their boobs and like just rubbing on me and stuff like that. And I was just like, dang, not during my sister's set. I can't just wait till after this. But another thing that shifted in perspective. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that.
You're good.
You know, social media isn't as prominent there, you know, like they're not on it all the time like we are. So looking into the crowd, performing for my family, and seeing that all of them like knew all the words, that was crazy. Yeah, because
that's nuts.
They're probably logging into Facebook like once a week because they recharge their card and that's all they have time for, you know. So I'm not seeing their likes consistently or their comments like everybody else that I know supports. You know what I mean? So then going out there and seeing that all of them know the words and like not necessarily like likes meaning activity, you know, like they are paying attention regardless of like what they're doing on Instagram or whatever. So that was wild too.
It's like a conversation I had with, man, I forgot who I was having this conversation with. But anyways, like it was the idea that you can have, let's say, 1 million followers on Instagram, right? But then when you go to a show, like nobody shows up. Mm-hmm. It was Hasib, it was Hasib the Few. And when you go to a concert, you go into the Philippines out of all places, and at a fucking like drag show.
I have videos of it.
And
too,
you know,
man.
and it's like they know the fucking words. Like that's fucking crazy, bro. Yeah. Like that's some real world shit that not a lot of people think they can acquire, so they have to get it through social media.
Yeah. And it's weird to me too because I don't know how to convey this feeling, but like it's crazy how like I think emotion is like an American like learned thing because when you go there and like after you perform and everybody's just stone faced, but like you get to the table and they're all saying such positive things with like this emotionless face, like telling you how wonderful your set was and stuff like that, but they're just like, yeah, that was really good, Philip, like blah blah blah, like. I guess that's just a Filipino thing where like there's just not a lot of emotion.
I feel like that's definitely an American thing though because like dude, like when I show somebody love, it's more like yo, like good shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'll, like yo, like you know, keep that shit up or whatever. But it's like I'll agree. Whenever I see people go up to other people at like places over here in the United States, it's like like everybody's kind of like too cool. Mm-hmm. And it's like I think people just need to like let their guard down at that point. Because it's like, bro, if the guy's popping or if the girl's popping, just show some fucking love. That's it. That's all it takes. I don't even know where the fuck I was going with that.
Show love.
Just show love.
Show love.
So like aside from like the this is what I was gonna say. Also, without social media being super prominent in the Philippines, too, I'm sure you were performing and there wasn't, like, as many just cameras there just chilling.
Yeah.
I feel like that kills a buzz as an artist. Just seeing nothing but cameras, like, as opposed to people just, like, looking up and, like, you know, actually trying to, instead of trying to prove that you were there, people actually, like, being there in the moment.
I can agree with that. To an extent, I just think that they just generally don't have those things to constantly keep their mind stimulated on like what's next in technology and stuff like that. Like, So I mean, it just causes them to pay more attention to real time.
Yeah.
A family can have a guitar in a household with no TV, and they could still have a great time out there. That's what I loved about it. Because I feel like we are like slowly getting so consumed with technology and stuff like that you forget about those moments. Because I mean, we're still old enough to remember like when you had the crowd around the N64 and you didn't have live. Like, you know what I mean? You actually had to at least engage a little bit with it.
And you had like maybe 8 motherfuckers in your room just trying to play a game.
That was dope.
Yeah. Now that shit was tight. Now I got a Switch. I just bought a Switch like last week.
Oh, see, now you're on the move.
No, and then I just called my boy like, yo, like, you trying to play Pokemon right now? He's like, yeah, let's battle. And it's like, we don't have to be next to each other. But I do also feel like in this time of age when everything is just moving so quickly, that's kind of like the only way I find myself connected with my homies. It's like, even though I don't see my homies for like a year, for example, as long as I know we're still like talking periodically throughout the week, or not the week, like throughout the year, it's like I can meet up with them and it's like nothing ever happened. Nothing ever fucking happened.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So, growing up in San Antonio too, like, did you ever listen to like Chopped and Screwed music?
Absolutely. So I mean, my household wasn't where the hip hop came from for sure. It was definitely like the middle and high school. So Katrina happened when I was in middle school, and a lot of people from Houston and New Orleans moved to. There was this mall. It was an abandoned mall that it just like finished shutting down, like probably like a year before Katrina happened. So that's where they housed all the Katrina evacuees.
Damn.
And my middle school was literally like a block from that. So all the Katrina victims from Houston and New Orleans like went to my school. So that's like a big like influence of like where like the hip hop that I was exposed to like early. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like initially like somebody introducing like Pac or Biggie to me, you know what I mean? Like it was like Swisha House and like Chameleon like, you know, Boosie. And so like that was like my first like real dive into hip hop. So like Chop and Screwed was heavy in the rotation.
Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that Hurricane Katrina happened.
Yeah. I was like
you
6.
all get evacuated into a mall.
Right.
And when you're in this mall is when you get exposed to all the music, like all the hip hop from Texas.
I wasn't already in San Antonio. I'm saying those evacuees were moved to my street. Like I was already living there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like the mall, that was the mall I was going to growing up. Like so I guess I moved there like 2nd or 3rd grade. And like Windsor Park Mall was the mall that was on my side of town. So like that was the mall that my family went to. And then eventually it got shut down. Then Houston and New Orleans moved like a lot of their evacuees in that mall because it was so large. It was a large vacated building. And then those kids were like going to school at my school like while they were being housed in that mall. Yeah.
That's insane. Then the music kind of just like
the influence
around.
just mixed because I don't feel like San Antonio really has like an identity musically.
Really?
Besides like, I mean, like there's a reggaeton influence and like SPM and like that kind of thing stuff. But I don't. Before that, I think like it wasn't like quite identified. And then like Chop and Screwed became like a big wave. Like I remember all the cats in my school trying to do like the Houston rap thing.
Really?
For sure.
How do you even go about like recording some Chopped and Screwed shit?
I when I do mine, I just keep it monotone and let like the effects like kind of take their wave.
Yeah.
I feel like people try to do too much on Chopped and Screwed, and that's when it starts sounding like weird. You know?
Yeah.
You just gotta keep it chill.
Cause like I can't imagine what you do. Like, do you like record? Do you record a verse and then do you just like stretch it?
You just pitch shift it.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. You shift.
That's it.
I mean, yeah. You add a little reverb. You add some delay. Make it sound icy. And yeah, you just get your monotone straight voice out.
Okay, that's tight then. See, this whole time I thought you just made some shit and then you just stretched it.
No, so you thought you had to be like off time and like time it
Not
perfectly?
Not off time, but it's like, let's say it was like let's say it was like 100 BPM, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you like did your verse, and then you just literally just stretch it on the fucking map so that it gets cut down to like 50.
Yeah, no, you just pitched it.
Oh shit, I felt dumb as shit.
No. No, man. Yeah. And you know, it's crazy because that was the phone call that I guess you and me had that brought to my attention that Chop and Screwed like isn't just normal like everywhere, you know. I mean, people fuck with it, yeah. But yeah, man, it was so normal from where I come from.
Well, yeah, because then DJ
and that's San Antonio, so I can
yeah.
imagine even in Houston it's wild.
No,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think honestly, one of my favorite rappers growing up was Mike Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hella pushing the Chopped and Screwed. And like I remember DJ Screw, Paul Wall, Slim Thug. They were all like really dope. Yeah, 8005, all that shit. Like that was my shit growing up. And I think it was from Mike Jones when I actually realized that, oh, there's music outside of the Bay Area that isn't just hyphy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have fucking crunk music. They have Chopped and Screwed music. But it wasn't until Chopped and Screwed where I was like, whoa, music is actually regional in the United States? I thought it was just the same all around.
Yeah. No, it's definitely regional. I feel like all those big cities kind of have their own sound that they're developed from.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Atlanta definitely has like a distinct sound. Chicago, yeah. I mean, all those places generally like develop their own thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I feel like Chopped and Screwed is just so special because just taking the simple idea of like pitch shifting it down, which I'm finally learning today, and just that not being everywhere on the map, but it still being one of the most prominent subgenres of hip hop. You get me? Like hyphy, it's kind of like the hyphy movement in the sense in which like it's always just gonna be popping wherever you're at, but in a sense, I feel like people like yourself being from Texas, like it would be so great if you capitalized on that type of shit because it just shows representation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
I will.
Because I think in terms of Texas right now, it's just, I mean, biggest name is Travis Scott, and he implements that in his shit sometimes.
Post Malone.
Is he from Texas?
Denton County, I thought, right? Yeah.
Oh, shit. I don't even know where the fuck that is.
That's by Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's getting up there too. I was surprised to see like how big he's gotten in the last couple of years. But yeah, Travis Scott's running shit in Houston too. That was actually the other spot that we were thinking about moving besides Vegas.
To Houston?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because Travis Scott really did break the mold down there. So like, there's just a lot of music to be discovered down there right now. And there's a lot of eyes on Houston because of Travis Scott right now. So
yeah.
Also, I mean, there's an Asian population down there too.
See, I didn't even realize that. That's why when you hit me up initially, you're like, yo, I'm like half Filipino, half white. I was like, but you're from Texas? This shit makes no sense. You know, it didn't really make any sense to me. Is it like really high over there?
I wouldn't say so, but San Antonio is a military town. There's 4 bases there.
Okay.
So, I mean, Asians are definitely coming through here, but it's definitely not as plentiful as, like, L.A. or Vegas is. Like,
Yeah.
I've been around the most Filipinos I've ever seen in Vegas.
Yeah. Even my barber just hit me today. He's like, yeah, bro, like, I'm happy you, like, hit me up today because I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. And he's Filipino. I'm like, bro, you're in Vegas all the fucking time, dude.
That's the hot spot, man.
It really is the hot spot for hella Filipinos. You know, motherfuckers that travel from the Bay Area, from fucking Texas, from fucking over here, just, like, partying. I'm like, bro, I can't even do that shit.
Yeah, my mom be going out there for sure.
Really?
Yeah, she hits it up. Vegas is that spot for the Filipino older crowd for sure.
Yeah. So then, like, I guess what's the difference you see between Texas and now in Vegas in terms of the environment? Is it a lot faster in Vegas?
You know, it's not as fast as I thought it was going to be. It's actually like a really small town when you take the strip away from it. I was surprised to see, like, I mean, if you've been in Vegas for a minute or if you were like born and raised, like everybody kind of knows everybody. It's kind of wild. I mean, because on the outside perspective, when you see the strip or when you talk about Vegas, you just think glamorous and big, you know?
Yeah.
So when you go out there and you figure out that everybody knows everybody, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
It's not that.
And it's a hot ass desert.
Yeah. The population is just constantly like ongoing.
Yeah.
So
then what's like the biggest adjustment you've had to make since moving? I mean, you've only been there for like what, a month?
Yeah. Honestly, just starting over on connections. That's what's been the most uncomfortable part is because like I've been in San Antonio so long, so I just felt very comfortable with like whatever moves I needed to be made. I knew who to call, like right away. So for the first time in a long time, I've found myself having to like recreate connections, find new resources, and just like get comfortable again out there. Honestly, because I haven't had to do that in so long. So. But it's been awesome. It's been a cool experience, and I'm doing a lot of things that I didn't know I could do. So
like what?
Like making these connections. I mean, I feel like in a month and a half we've became so successful. On a month and a half standpoint, you know, we're working with like a really big venue out there called CMXX. Mm-hmm. It's in the Art District. With a company called Waterhole Kingdom, and it's just a team of creatives. And we're all just, you know, working every day. There's no like definitive project that we're working on. It's like whatever the hell we feel like doing. And you know, when I first got to Vegas, I was scared and like just got a random job at like Ross and got a random job at Maggiano's, and now I'm like working full time for this company. So,
dude, congrats! That's fucking good for you, dude.
No, man. I thought it was gonna definitely take like 6 to 8 months at the least. So after a month and a half, man, I'm feeling pretty invincible about making moves right now for sure.
That's tight, dude. Yeah. That's tight. What was the initial reception that you were getting from like family and friends moving from Texas to Vegas?
You know, I felt like the last string of events that we threw back in San Antonio before we left really made everybody comfortable. Because I felt the most support I've ever felt from my parents like this last couple months, and like surprised. Like when I told them about Vegas, I was definitely scared to death. Referencing like everything we've said about them from earlier, but like they were hella supportive and were like, "Hey man, do what you gotta do." Because the last couple events we threw in San Antonio were like pretty overwhelmingly like awesome. There was a lot of support there, and my parents came to those events, so I think at that point it becomes undeniable of like at least the possibilities, you know.
Yeah. So do you think that they've like fully approved for you like to do music?
Yeah, I think so.
What was their initial reaction when you told them
that I was pursuing music?
You were pursuing music.
You know, my parents, they're just, it's just, I'm still figuring it out, man. Like, they threw me, like, in almost every extracurricular activity, like, when I was growing up, because they were like, yo, let's figure out, like, what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? So I did everything: football, basketball, baseball, track, dance, music, everything. I acted for a while, too, which I still really enjoy. The Donald Glover route has always been, like, an appealing thing for me. But like, I always felt like they wanted me to go to college and like get this education. Like, even though they threw me in all those extracurricular activities, I felt like that was like the main goal they always wanted me to achieve too. So it was just hella confusing, because then I fell in love with entertainment and had no desire to finish that degree up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't even finish college?
No, I didn't.
Damn.
So I think now, like, I'm 27, they're like, all right, man, like, clearly you love this shit. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, they saw results back home, too, so I think they're a little more at ease.
Results as in, like, they seen how packed your shows were, or what?
It was so weird. So I threw an album release party at, like, one of the biggest clubs in San Antonio called Hotel Discotheque.
Okay.
And what we did was we ran a fashion show through the center of the venue. So each song on my album, there were 16 songs. We had a local designer, design an outfit for each song. So as the album played, like, a model would walk down and they would be rocking an outfit that represented the song.
Yeah.
So that was going on, and there was probably like 200 or 300 people there. And my parents were sat like dead point, like in front of the runway, and people were coming up to them like they were like the king and queen of England. Like they were like shaking their hand, and I think people were just getting drunk as fuck, and like they like were feeling it.
And that's the goal for a party, though. Good shit.
Yeah, bro. So my parents like had this look I'd never seen before, but like I think it was the result of like, and it was weird, dude. I had like teachers from like middle school come out.
Yeah.
And, like, teacher from high school came out. Like, people were like talking about it. Made the news and stuff too. So,
really?
Yeah. So I think like people coming up to my parents like they're the king and queen of England like changed their perspective 100%.
Yo, that's fucking ill.
Yeah, they were like, we believe in your son, and like doing all these like, just it was a little extra. I'm sure the alcohol had something to do with it, but it was cool. Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you have so much support from your community? Like, your family was there. You said your fucking teachers were there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's really difficult to get a teacher to come out to your event.
Yeah, it's dude. I wish I could stop and smell the roses more, but it always just makes me hungrier. And like these guys try to make me enjoy the ride a little bit more, but like I'm always just like, damn, like how do we capitalize or how do we take this to the next level? It's so overwhelmingly like amazing that it's hard for me to process like that many people like take time out of their day to support, show love. Because I do feel the love out there in San Antonio. And my goal, like, for leaving was always to, like, capitalize on things and bring it back to that city because, I mean, I think that city deserves it for sure.
Did you ever have anybody who casted any doubt towards your move to Vegas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How'd those conversations go?
Yeah.
You said no comment.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you're here now.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, man.
I gotta be careful what to say on that one, but
No, it's all good. It's all good. So the project, how did all of that come together?
that was like a 1.5 year long project, man, believe it or not. So I don't even know if we got into this, but okay, so the Houston rap or whatever, that all influenced me initially, but dude, I was around so many people that were trying to be Paul Wall, Mike Jones, and Chameleonaire. Like that was like the vibe of musicians in my middle and high school. You know what I mean? So my older sister, like I always enjoyed music and writing and stuff like that, but like I just felt like it was confusing with what I liked and who I was like at that time. Like you're a degenerate in middle and high school, all that stuff. So I didn't like start pursuing music until like I was introduced to like the gym class heroes. Does that make sense? Yeah.
That's sick.
So the Paper Cut Chronicles was brought to me by my older sister, and like I guess the crutch of like the band and like the singing and like that combination with hip hop like made me more comfortable to be.
You know, now that you mention gym class heroes, it kind of makes sense why your album sounds the way it does.
Yeah, man. For sure.
That's a dope influence.
Yeah, and that's probably, like, if you were to ask me my influences, I'm always going to say Kanye West, and, like, for the new school, Chance the Rapper. But, like, a lot of, like, credit, I would say, goes to Gym Class Heroes. Like, I even had a band in high school where I rapped to it. You know what I mean? So, like, it just gave me comfort in a school of Paul Wall, Mike Jones, and Chameleonaires.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
it made me feel more like myself, that I could spit bars, but like the band like helped me feel like I was who I was. You know? So
was it the band that helped you like break out? Because just seeing that so many people wanted to be the Chameleonaires, the Paul Walls, and Mike Joneses, was there something that made you say like, nah, fuck all that shit?
Well, because I liked
the gym class heroes that much.
I liked that stuff. No, I liked Mike Jones and all that stuff, but I could never like, what the fuck would I look like spitting those bars?
It just wasn't your, I guess it wasn't your persona.
Yeah, like, I always felt like I could absolutely never pull that off, you know? So, like, to me, I wanted to do hip-hop, but I didn't want to, like, come off as, like, an act or anything, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to the album, that definitely is, like, a huge reason for the sound and stuff like that, because Gym Class Heroes is, like, a treasure to me for sure. But it was definitely a 1.5 year long project just because I was kind of like finding my sound, kind of auditioning for producers as well. Like I told you on the phone too, I bought like a big beat pack, and that was my grand scheme, was to like show people I had talent, then let the producers come to me, which now I have like my own producers and stuff like that. So, I just wanted to prove to myself before I like bought beats or like worked on collaborations or anything that like people were gonna dig my shit. So I had a girlfriend at the time when I started writing this album, and then like midway through the album we broke up, and then like that I just been on like my bullshit, like the end half of the album. So like that's literally like what
that's
the album
hella funny.
Yeah.
No,
so if you play it like 1 to 16, you can
there's like
see
a clear
that I'm
shift.
in love.
Yeah, there's a clear shift.
I'm like in love, and then I'm like heartbroken, and then I'm like, fuck bitches get money at the end. Yeah. So it's like a weird.
I mean, I guess that's the type of shit that you would come up with, considering it was like a year and a half long.
Yeah. So I took my time on it, man. For me.
Yeah.
So
do you feel
I'm
like
happy I did.
Do you feel like you could have got it out like faster?
I wish I would have separated it because I guess I underestimated. Attention spans are just short nowadays, and a 16-track album for somebody that's not like entirely known is a lot of music to digest. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's all 16 like quality tracks. So I mean, I wish I would have split it in two, but I don't regret taking as long as I did for sure.
What was your favorite song on the album? It's kind of hard.
Either Connect or 7101. Just because I feel like the lyricism is more like almost like formatted as poetry on 7101, and more so on 7101 and Connect, and like I just really enjoy poetry, so I just like how I like could kind of intertwine the two.
Yeah. Where'd you get that poetry influence from? Because I don't think Gym Class Heroes even does that on their shit.
They do, though.
Do they?
Yes. I think Gym Class Heroes is so slept on because they became very poppy after, like, when they released Close Off and Cupid's Chokehold. But that's not the Gym Class Heroes that inspired me. The Paper Cut Chronicles is, like, literally a hard lyricism. Like, if you go back and listen to that, I guarantee you'll be like, oh, shit.
What is that, like early 2000s?
Yeah.
Damn, that's ill. Yeah,
I think you'd be surprised, honestly.
I probably will, because I got introduced.
I still, to this day, don't understand what happened to Travie McCoy, because, like, he was spitting bars and, like, poetry, and, like, you had to be in tune and, like, actually be ready to absorb the content. Like, you couldn't, you know what I mean? And then, like, came all the poppy stuff, and that's when I was kind of like, but... Yeah.
It was that transgression.
Poppy stuff is still good.
Yeah.
I mean, he was making it on the radio. It was doing what it needed to do. But definitely like that poetry is in Gym Class Heroes for sure.
Yeah, dude. I feel like poetry is such a lost art craft.
Yeah.
In the music, I think as of most recently, the only people who implement poetry is like Ella May and No Name for sure.
No Name Gypsy.
You know what I mean? And I think. No, yeah, No Name for sure, because
I think Chance the Rapper kind of puts it in there every now and then.
A little bit, but then when you think of No Name, it's like just straight up, this is like fucking poetic. I feel like I'm at like a fucking speakeasy and everybody's just like clicking and shit. It's like, it's such a lost art form, and I don't think people realize it's like those things that make artists so special. And if you're able to, I guess, implement that into your craft, like, why not? The same way I was telling you, like, implements Chopped and Screwed, because why not? That's the type of shit that you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. As opposed to everybody just doing all the mumble rap, triplet type shit all the fucking time. And I'm like, bro, I'm so tired of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, please come up with something just a little bit different.
I feel that, man. I struggle with that stuff. I mean, I love it. I love that stuff at the same time. Yeah.
Do you find yourself still trying to, even with just buying a beat pack, figuring out your sound, do you still feel like you're trying to find yourself as an artist at this point?
I feel like I'm going through such a diverse like array of emotions that I don't really know like what group I want to like impact per se, like as an artist. Like going to the Philippines made me feel some type of way about like represent, like I think we talked about like underrepresentation as a Filipino, and like understanding like the differences of being like a Filipino American, or understanding being Americanized, but then there's like the anxiety that I feel as well that I want to like come across to. I do.
Wait. What do you mean anxiety?
Oh, I got mad anxiety, man. Like, So I've just always wanted to appeal to that crowd too, and just, I don't know.
What do you get anxious from?
Life.
Particularly.
Safety. Like, I feel like everything just got really quiet for me to, like, even the wind was like, nah, man. I mean, this is just definitely like a really uncomfortable journey. You know, I'm just making big moves. So just anxiety of like the whole thing. I mean, it's a beautiful anxiety for sure, but like, yeah, man, just life.
But I guess I'm trying to figure out like what you're really anxious about. Are you anxious that, I guess, like, are you anxious to get to wherever your point is?
Anxious that I'll let people down too.
In what way?
I feel like we're in like this weird purgatory where like everybody is watching, seeing what I'm gonna do next. But then I also feel like I'm gonna let myself down, and then I also feel like I'm gonna let my family down, who I finally feel is like does support me. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of anxiety and just executing.
You want to give back to all of them, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Why is that so important for you?
I don't know. I think it's just ingrained in my head. I think just the way I was brought up, you know, you always feel like people that help you get the way to where you are or whatever, like it always comes back to them. Like it's just that good karma type shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like it might go back to the fact that I guess you have an entire community supporting you. And when you feel that love from them, you just want to reciprocate it back to them, type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So then what's the next move for Phillip Wolf? Aside from performing tonight in LA.
At the lunch
at
table.
Blue Jay Lounge, yeah.
Right now I'm trying to collaborate with like all these amazing people that I've met like throughout this journey, because I've been very focused on like trying to get this album out, prepare like a bunch of singles and some shit that I'm gonna be releasing. I also want to get like an EP together and stuff like that of all these loose songs that I have. But now it's like I've met so many people that I'm ready to do like songs with and collab. So we're finally getting like the studio under the way and just packing some hours in there.
For sure.
Got some dope collabs coming out already.
Like who?
So this girl named Josie, met her back in San Antonio. She's been hella supportive, and she's starting her journey as an artist, and she's got an amazing voice.
Sick.
Actually, just released that song on Spotify and Apple Music. It's called High, which is like a fucking amazing song.
Okay.
And then I got a remix coming out with Paul Fisher, who's like a really dope San Antonio artist too.
I think I've heard of Paul Fisher. That name, like, it rings a bell for some reason.
He's dope as fuck.
Yeah, that's tight. That's tight. So then, any idea on when these projects are going to be released?
Nah, I think we're taking our time. I think this album's only been out like 2 or 3 months, so we really want to like, cause it's new to everybody in LA and in Vegas. So I mean, we really want to like push that like it is new and just hold on to this stuff and strategically like get it out whenever the hype starts dying down on Undervalued Attention. So,
Gotcha.
but we got mad stuff underway and we got it all pocketed and just ready to go. So
That's smart, man. Good for you. Good for you. Yo, Phillip Wolf, everybody. And why is there a blunt? Oh, someone trying to smoke? All right. Guess we're smoking right before this ends. Okay. That's the lunch table. Phillip Wolf. Fuck. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Yo, Nico, thank you again for having me, man. I appreciate it. Do you not smoke often?
That was the bad hit.
Was this not your thing?
Tell everyone where they can find you.
Yo, by the way, I'm sweating my ass off right now because it's not cold, and I'm wearing this Doppelbanger hoodie. So check that out, doppelbanging.com. My name is Phillip Wolf. Thank you again for having. Spraying. Yay!